talking about the election proper, you were talking about how Nigerians are not ready to change the narrative, to change the situation of the country. But I would like to ask you, you were the candidate, there were things you saw. What do you think about the process of the election itself? Do you think that had an effect on your eventual result, or it was just because of the voter apathy that was generally described? Or were there things in the process that you found faulting in the process, in the election process?
This is what I would say. We in the opposition, we've not understood how elections are done in Nigeria. We think it's a child's play. We think it's just for us to go on and start talking all these things we say. When I got into the race, it became clearer to me. I began to understand how election runs in this country. My brother here gave a lot of credit to INEC. I don't think INEC deserved all the credits to give them. There was systemic rigging even before the elections. The politicians were busy jumping up and down. The people in power were busy rigging systematically. They were getting close to INEC officials. They were, you see, INEC officials, most of them, they stay in the local government areas of, the offices are usually in every local government. These ones were busy. I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything. I'm not trying to say anybody competent. I'm just saying what I noticed. They were busy getting closer to them, having solid relationship with them. The only book said, beware of gift. That your gift makes a way for you. Even if the person you're giving the gift to does not intend to compromise. But by the time you start giving too many gifts, it begins to shift ground. And there were a lot of times INEC called for meetings. Oppositions were not there. Because the last time we went for the last meeting before our election, they said, where were you? SSS called for meetings, oppositions were not there. So the ruling party systematically got too friendly with SSS, got too friendly with the police, got too friendly with INEC, got too friendly with everybody that could influence the elections. And the oppositions were nowhere to be found. I was able at the time they said, ballot paper select. And I said, never. From what I heard on TV, from what I heard the chairman say, I said, never. And in this area, what's it called? Would be Ifako. They said the paper is leaked. And they were so convinced, they were ready to take me to where I said it was not possible. I thought they were playing. A week or several weeks before the election, the woman came on and started showing us ballot papers. So it means what the informant told me was true. And the election processes are not what you think they are. There are different processes in the election process that you need to monitor. There is the actual voting itself, and there is the actual counting of the vote, and there is word collation. People following the ballot papers to the word collation center, recounting, that is confirming the results, taking it from there again to the local government for further collation, and the confirming of that same result. The oppositions were not properly financed. They didn't have the finances to ensure all these processes. And that's on one side. The other thing I noticed, let me not sound as if the people didn't do well at all. What I was trying to say from the beginning was that the people, there was voter apathy. The people lost faith in the process. But it had to do with the, like I told you, I said I was able to bring them back on course. I was able to motivate them. And people in Koshofel had 10 words. I was able, for the many people I was able to interact with, the many groups I was able to interact with, they came back on board. But you see, the opposition, like in my own case, I don't know that I should be even saying this. The opposition formed the coalition. That's what they call Coalition of United Political Parties. That's what they call IPAC. All of them big names, they didn't work for any purpose. What the essence of 41 parties coming together and they cannot impact? What sense does that make? And another thing that happened was that the major party in that coalition gave money for election. Somebody hijacked the money, and they allowed the money to get down. When I mean give money for election, it was not for election tampering, for agents, because most of the political parties that formed for the COP were not buoyant parties. So the major force in the political pyramid gave money so that these other ones can have agents, so that as they have agents, apart from protecting their own votes, they will be protecting his own votes too. But that money never trickled down. So most of us that went to the election didn't have agents. How can you go to an election and not have a gatekeeper? How does that work? It means you gave the people, I mean, the party of the day, a free pass. Another thing, sorry, I need to just mention this. How can you, in your life, form a party and you cannot form the party? What were you thinking? Most of the political parties that was formed didn't even have secretariat. It was a trading business. It was a luggage party. They formed the party to trade with their leader.
But that was not the case with you and your party.
No, ADC was the third force, was the, how will I say, the credible alternative.
Okay.
Why they don't want, apart from, I'm not talking, when I mean the other ones, too many of them, I don't want to make name names now. I'm not talking about the Showore, because Showore is a visionary, wants to make impact. I'm not talking about Kingsley Mogolu and the rest of them. I'm not going to be mentioning names. I'm not talking about the main opposition you saw run around Nigeria trying to do those kind of stuff. But majority of the 91 parties were chop and chop party, suitcase luggage parties. They were formed just to trade with. That was why they even needed a lifeline from the main party.
Right, so I'll come to you, Mr. Ansura. So we're looking forward to subsequent elections now. Many of us were alarmed or maybe disappointed when we were watching on TV. Professors were subject to carrying papers, having to read, having to go through, move from the state to Abuja to come and read from a paper. How the whole process went on and on for like 72 hours before we could finally announce results. What should we be thinking about now, moving forward towards 2023, looking at all this cumbersome and non-transparent process?
I think I should correct one impression with my brother. When you say voter apathy, the number of votes recorded in this 2019 election was more than what we had in 2015. So maybe you would need to know, even Buhari scored more than what is called in 2015, in 2019. So what we need to understand. I'm not talking about, so you politicians, so when you're talking about, because these are, you see, it's about, assumption is one thing, fact is another thing. So when you want to say it and the other people listen to you and they say, oh, how can you talk about voter apathy? The only evidence that we can see is the number of results that were returned and then the number of votes. So until when that is actually discounted. The other thing that is very crucial is in all this, it's very easy for us, and I'm happy the way you spoke about some of your colleagues in this new so-called opposition party. Politicians, the old ones, have mastered the way to actually take advantage of the vulnerability, poverty, insincerity, and lack of ideology that is pervading the youth and the young people. So most of them formed political parties, never campaigned anywhere, never even uttered a single word about their vision or whatever. And it is all about going to negotiate to support either the ruling party or the other one. Some of them even did for both parties, you know, collected here and collected in the other one. And one of the things that is very unfortunate is that some of you also make the mistake of being complicit by your silence. So when you had COP coming up and it is saying it is the umbrella for all the other opposition party, I was expecting those of you who could read from there to say, no, we are not part of that arrangement. As far as we are concerned, we need a genuine process of coalition of parties that we have similar agenda, which will be the basis of forming any form of alliance. It is not just about forming an alliance because we want to chase this one out. No, there must be minimum program that you actually share and people can see for that. And that's why I started with the thing about the figure of the voter turnout and the rest of that. Because people, and the result we need to learn from it, how people were able, and interestingly, it was the ruling party that suffered most of that casualty, and we shouldn't allow that to be lost on us. You have seen where people have consciously voted for Buhari, like you said, at the presidential election, and they went to vote against the candidate of the party at the governorship election, at the same thing as House of Assembly. So it tells us that people are even more conscious than we think they are, but they just want to see where that alternative is coming from. And brilliant idea about doing house-to-house campaign. I think if not about the most campaign presidential candidate, Shure will be the one other than the rest. And that is how he is able to gain such level of discussion about his program, about his presence, about his agenda, about his party. And that was to also show that without, I know Shure, so it's not like he had money somewhere, but Nigerians were willing to see how things would change. If it were to be allowed that people in diaspora were to vote in that election, I can tell you the result would have possibly been different from what we saw, you know, at the 2019 election. But there's a need for the new emergence of our generation in the political landscape to see where lies your capacity, where lies your strength, who do you need to partner with and collaborate with, what is the language that the people want to hear, you know, what do I need to communicate. So what you need to tell the people in Southwest is completely different from what you need to tell the people in the South, in the North. It's different from what you tell people in the South. You don't need to lie about it. It is about addressing what are the critical issues that is pertinent to them. And they also need to see that you're part of the possible solution to their problem by understanding their problem. So if you're just coming with this fallopian idea of, don't worry, it is going to be free education for all. Who told you everybody wants to go to school? A farmer who needs people who wants to work on his farm is not looking at giving the children free. It's possibly looking at giving them fertilizer and then also machines that would assist in the farm. So these are critical issues that we need to understand that going into election. And I completely also, I was happy when you mentioned that quite a number of them were forming political parties 6 months to the election, 5 months to the election. These are actually people registering business for negotiation, not actually. So we need to separate quite a number of some of them who doesn't really interested in a genuine change in the system, but who are looking for how to profit from the process. And when we're having our analysis, we can't be qualifying them as part of those who want genuine change and measuring impact with the role that they play. We need to separate them and classify them appropriately.
Okay, we are eating on stretch now, so I'd like to ask straight answers from on. I'll start with you. So, would you consider the number of political parties that we have now, or you want a reduction?
I prefer reduction.
To
five, six.
Okay.
Serious parties.
For me, I'll say, just like the INEC rule, any party that could not win any election at the House of Assembly level, this should be proscribed, so that we'll have a minimal number.
Okay, sir. What about you?
No, I mean, I won't subscribe to emasculating the political landscape and also within our political parties. One thing is that there should be minimum criteria to meet before you register a political party. And I don't need to go and win a House of Assembly member. A political party can just decide, all I want to win is the councillorship of a particular location. And then it goes for it. If that is all you get, it is eligible to operate as a political party. All you can say is they must win a seat, and at that point either it is councillor, it is chairman, It is House of Assembly, it is House of Rep, it's Senate, it doesn't matter. But a political party can decide to exist for the purpose of, and even if it can be just for the farmers, it can be for bakers. It is allowed under the law.
Okay, sir. I'll come back to you. Your thoughts on voter suppression and violence during the election? Just a brief statement on that.
I want to take him on that before I go to answer your question. If you don't mind.
Okay, no problem.
You see, the problem with Nigerian politics, if we build our party based on that system, then most parties will be in trouble. Let me just quickly give you an example. In 2015, PDP had 17 seats in the Lagos House of Assembly. That 40, it's a 40-member House of Assembly, and it was 17 seats. You would think there would be continuity. Few weeks into this inauguration, maybe few weeks, few months, I don't know, 6 of them they count. Yeah. So you see, we can't build a party.
Because they were not built on that ideology.
That's what I'm saying. Let's have serious-minded people aspire for office.
That is the point.
And the fewer, the better. When they become too many, they get lost in the fray. Then your question. What is the question again?
Like what do you think about voter suppression and
it is high time we stood up for ourselves. Nobody will come and fight our battles for us. The people in power now, I don't want to mention names, are getting away with all these things because we are not ready to fight for ourselves. Okay. These people of Sudan, look at the circumstances under which they stood up. They went to the army headquarters and stayed there day and night to make their point, and they had the change they wanted. If you want a true change, then you need to be able to fight for that change. That's my decision.
What's your thoughts on voters suppression, violence during this election?
I think to some extent we must first of all appeal to Mr. President to assent to the new electoral act so that it can come into force. Though electronic voting may still have to take some time before it gets its footings in Nigeria, but I think with the little that card reader did during this last election, it is a stepping stone. So if most of the changes that are just been put into the Electoral Act is allowed to go, gradually we'll start getting it. And before long, we'll get to the promised land.
Okay, sir. I'm still going to ask you about technology, electoral voting and all of that, if that is really the way forward. But quickly, like just in a brief statement, what do you think about the violence that we still had in this last election?
The violence, it is not coming from the blues. It is a function of the political elite. The politicians are taking advantage of the loopholes in the law and in the system, and also the failure of both the judiciary and INEC to actually hold them responsible for some of those things. So the judiciary before now would affirm that somebody really did not win an election, even though the person also perpetuated violence. And the only thing that would just be decided is remove him from office or have a new election. And there will be nothing mentioned about the violence that actually happened during the election. So we need to start a process of holding them. So once we can hold them accountable, and such that people who benefit from the process are also made to serve some measure of punishment from that, then that is when we start talking gradually about having a sanity of the process. Some of us will condemn the so-called involvement of the military in the election, but I can tell you in some places where the voters do not see the military, they won't even bother going out because of the fear of the violence that are likely to come out during the electoral process. So there's a whole lot that we need to do. I mean, do I come to the e-voting later?
Yes, you can just address
okay, so with that, I mean, it is the best and the only way to go. And that is why you talk about the movement of, persons and papers from Zamfara, from Borno, from Port Harcourt to Abuja to go and they still don't trust so much our electoral process that even if we start the e-transmission of result today, You won't find politicians saying, oh, the result has changed between Lagos to Abuja, or between Delta to Abuja, or between whatever. So one is that we must improve and show up the credibility of the process. Our politicians must learn to play the game with sense of fair play. And we also must be true to our conscience. And also, which is very crucial, Nigerians must not only vote during election days, must also stand to witness the process and defend also their ballot and their vote to ensure that the vote counts.
Okay, Mr. Abisoye, what are the next steps for you now going forward? What are the things we should expect from you ahead of the next election?
I am still consulting.
Okay.
Because if you say you are going to serve people, then it doesn't. Why would you be going with guns, vote buying? Why would you want to kill people to get to serve? Then the other question is, okay, if I truly want to serve people, am I sure I'm ready for this terrain? So I'm still thinking about it, I'm still consulting, and I'm still thinking of whether or not we can put up a credible opposition. Because this government has to be chased away. It's difficult, but it's not important. When I mean this government, I mean this party, this present crop of politicians. This present crop of politicians, whether in the only party, whether in the main opposition party, because they are best of the same feather. They are the ones going. Today they are in PDP, they are in the ruling party. Tomorrow they are in the opposition party. They are free. So, for us in the opposition, I think it starts now. Moghalu said something. Professor Moghalu, with due respect, said something that I disagree with. He said he has not left politics, but he has just only gone back to his means of livelihood because he is not a career politician and he wants to win elected position. You can only win elected position in Nigeria if you are a career politician. Nobody is saying you should make politics your means of livelihood. But you see, you cannot be a worker. You can own your business.
You're welcome back.
You need time in politics. And politics is like now, 2023 election. The journey, the battle for it, and everything that entails starts now. So you need to be available to do all they need to do. So I'm still consulting. I'm not going for way forward.
On the last note, on the very last note, I would ask you, if you rate INEC over 100, what would you score in the last election?
You see, there are consequences to what we say. So do you want me to say something that put me into trouble?
No, just rate based on what you experienced.
I will give INEC, this is my own opinion.
Yes.
And using Koshofe as a basis, and all the things I read and had in the papers, I'll not read them. I don't want to put a figure to it, but I will score them low. The guy brought us to a level that I thought if we built on it, we would have gone further. But this man brought us backward. I mean, this is our new INEC. Maybe it might not be his fault. Maybe it was, let me just put it, let me leave that there. No, in mind.
If you are going to score INEC over 100?
Taking Koshofe, which is where I operated during the last election, I will score them at least 40%.
40%. What about you, Mr. Sir?
Oh, give them average. You know, because yeah, that's below average. So I mean, but that for me, I would give them average. You know, and I would give our politicians below average. Definitely. Because the politicians constitute most of the problem. INEC is just trying to manage the situation. So it is not more.
If you enforce the rule.
Yeah, no, there's a limit. INEC does not have police. INEC does not have a court.
INEC has the power to disqualify.
No, but INEC disqualified quite a number of people, which was why I started from, including people in the ruling party. You know, so it's really tried with that, and I can imagine.
INEC has the power to orientate their staff, because most of the staff were meddling.
No, you see the truth, and
you were showing their preference for the party of their
choice.
choice.
Even came out to confirm and confess that some of their
most of their
staff were compromised.
That is why INEC got it a bit wrong.
No, you see the truth,
because they started this ad hoc issue of a thing. I think they started a bit late.
You see,
and another thing comes on that of the ad hoc. You see, after their training of this ad hoc, on the day of election, most of the trained ones, were not on ground and they started recruiting overnight.
So how could someone who didn't? You see, the truth of the matter was, which is, we don't want to in any way exonerate INEC from some of the challenges. If you remember what happened, and that is why you still have some INEC senior and other officials standing trials today, because they were heavily compromised even during the 2015 election. And you can see the level of millions that was going into individual accounts and officers' accounts. So you can see, in fairness to INEC, trying to purge some of them by even putting them up for trial.
Never ending trials, I understand.
No, yeah, so it will still be going. Yeah. You can only take people to court. You can't determine when it's going to
That's why I
finish.
said never ending
That
trials.
is number one. Number two, it also happened that one of the reasons why they said the postponement happened was because they discovered that some of the officers were already compromised for the election, either by the ruling party or by the opposition. There was compromise, and there was a need to quickly also do some ad hoc arrangements. So there's a need for us, and that's why I said the major problem is not the INEC, it is our politicians.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time today on the program Elections Debrief. As the election as the dust raised by the election settles, we'll continue to have conversations on way forward and try to deepen our democracy and also promote good governance.